Good morning, everybody, and welcome. This is our Tuesday, April 7th regular meeting of the Mason County Commission. We will go ahead and begin with our Pledge of Allegiance. Jack Johnson, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? He wore a green shirt jacket.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, thank you, everybody, for coming. Let's go ahead and start off with roll call, please.
Commissioner District 1, Randy Netherland.
I am here.
Commissioner District 2, Tim Sheldon.
Here.
Commissioner District 3, Terry Jeffrey.
Here.
Next up is correspondence and organizational business. Do we have any correspondence to come before this board?
Yes, we do. Tom Davis submitted an application for the Hood Canal Coordinating Council Citizen Advisory Group. The Liquor Control Board sent special occasion license applications for North Mason Rotary Club and Mason County Senior Activities Association, a liquor license application for JR's Hideaway, and a change of information for Seattle Incepted Group. And the Port of Shelton submitted a letter regarding request for annexation and comprehensive plan amendment initiation.
Thank you. Next up, news release. Lodging Tax Advisory Committee membership, Commissioner Jeffries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This news release is a request to ask folks to apply for our Lodging Tax Advisory Committee. Mason County is seeking individuals to serve on the Mason County Lodging Tax Advisory Committee. There are 2 open positions for individuals involved in activities that are authorized to be funded by lodging tax revenues, spenders. The committee is appointed by the Board of Mason County Commissioners and shall include representatives of businesses that are required to collect lodging tax, generators, and members who are persons involved in activities that are authorized to be funded by lodging tax revenues, spenders. The number of generator members on the committee shall equal the number of spender members, with the county commissioner serving as chair of the committee. Presently, there are 8 members and Commissioner Jeffries serves as chair. The committee reviews requests for lodging tax funding and makes recommendations to the commissioners regarding the use of lodging tax monies. The committee meets during regular business hours, usually not more than once a month. For an application, please contact the Mason County Commissioner's Office, and our contact information is in there. So I hope that folks that do the parades, festivals, etc. will put in an application.
Thank you, Commissioner. Item number 4.3, Mason County Civil Service Commission vacancy, and I'm up. The Board of Mason County Commissioners is seeking applications to fill a vacated position that will expire December 31st, 2018 on the Mason County Civil Service Commission. To qualify, the individual must be a United States citizen, resident of Mason County for at least the past 2 years, and an elector in Mason County. This person cannot be employed by Mason County and shall serve without compensation. The general purpose of the Civil Service Commission is to establish a merit system of employment for county deputy sheriffs and other employees of the office of county sheriff. The Mason County Civil Service Commission meets on the 3rd Thursday of each month at 5 p.m. in Mason County Building number 1 at 411 North 5th Street in Shelton. Interested parties may obtain an application at the Mason County Commissioner's Office or by visiting our location or going to our websites. The Mason... See, that's a different one, and so I'm finished with that. Item number 4.4, application of herbicides. Staff Melissa McFadden.
Good morning, Melissa McFadden, Mason County Public Works. Mason County Department of Public Works will begin the spring application of herbicide for vegetation control along county roads on or after April 13th, 2015, weather permitting. For a detailed list of roads affected by the herbicide application program, please contact Mason County Department of Public Works at 427-9670, extension 450, or visit the county website at www.co.mason.wa.us. Property owners that are adjacent to areas that will be sprayed but do not want spraying to take place may enroll in our Owner Will Maintain program by contacting Public Works. Those property owners who have already enrolled in the program and designated their property as no spray will not need to contact the Public Works Office. Their property will not be sprayed.
Thank you very much. Next up was our news release, Public Health Month in Mason County. Vicki Kirkpatrick.
Thank you, Commissioners. Vicki Kirkpatrick, Director of Mason County Public Health and Human Services. And I wanted to start just briefly with a couple of pieces of the presidential proclamation for Public Health Week and then move into our news release. The President said, "This week we join together to declare our intent to rise to the challenges of a changing world and meet our moral obligations to protect the health of our country and the well-being of the next generation. We are shifting the focus of our country's healthcare system from sickness and disease to wellness and prevention. With partners around the world, the United States has launched a global health security agenda to help prevent, detect, and respond to outbreaks before they become epidemics. And my administration is taking aggressive, coordinated action to slow the emergence and prevent the spread of antibiotic-resistant diseases. Public health is the foundation for a brighter tomorrow. When we invest in the safety and well-being of all Americans, we enrich our communities, bolster our economy, and strengthen our nation. During National Public Health Week, we recognize public health professionals and all who care for the welfare of others, and we recommit to doing everything within our power to build a world where every child can enjoy limitless possibilities of a healthy life." And for Mason County, our news release, we've decided Public Health Week annually is the first full week of April. So this week is National Public Health Week, and in Mason County we are celebrating Public Health Week, and we've extended it to Public Health Month. What is public health? Believe it or not, public health affects all of us on a daily basis. We are only as healthy as the world we live in. Clean water, safe food, vaccines, and a plan for any emergency situation are all the result of public health hard at work. Mason County Public Health and Human Services will be hosting a month-long campaign in April so that we can all learn more together about how public health affects us and impacts our health. To recognize all of the hard work that public health does for us, Mason County Public Health and Human Services will be kicking off the campaign by celebrating National Public Health Week, April 6th through the 12th. Every April since 1995, communities nationwide have joined together to celebrate National Public Health Week. This year's theme is Healthiest Nation 2030. Even though the U.S. spends more on health care per person than any other comparable countries, we live shorter lives and have higher rates of obesity and chronic health conditions. Significant accomplishments have been made to improve the public's health in the last 20 years, but with hard work we can improve the health of all people in the U.S. even more. With this determination and teamwork in mind, our goal is to make the U.S. the healthiest nation in one generation by 2030. The county health rankings is one tool that is used in Mason County as a guide for ways to improve the health of our community. The 2015 county health rankings were released March 25th, providing us with an easy-to-use snapshot of the overall health of our country. The rankings demonstrate in a clear and powerful way that much of our health is connected to where we live, learn, work, and play, and that there are a very broad range of factors that impact health. These health ranking results are motivation to work together and combine all the strengths in Mason County to build greater health and well-being for our community. Public Health Month is the perfect way to begin thinking about the ways that public health and prevention help to keep our community and environment healthy. Health and wellness are shaped by the choices that we make as individuals and also by the environment and community that we live in. This means that public health largely takes place outside of the public health department and the healthcare setting, and that you can help improve the health of our community. Public health affects us all on a daily basis. We are fortunate in Mason County to have such an overwhelming supply of community effort and collaboration to make our home a healthier place to live. The folks at Mason County Public Health and Human Services would like to invite all Mason County residents to join us in the celebration of public health this April. We encourage you to explore ways that you can improve your own health and also improve the health of your community so that we may all live healthier and better together. If you would like more information about the county health rankings, visit www.countyhealthrankings.org. For more information about Public Health Month in Mason County, contact Mason County Public Health and Human Services at 360-427-9670, extension 400. From Belfair, 360-275-4467, or Elma, 360-482-5269. You can also visit our website at www.healthymasoncounty.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter. And I'd like to introduce Allie Perline, who is the health department's health educator and also our communications expert. She makes sure that what we write for public consumption makes sense and is readable. And so Allie will read the proclamation for Public Health Month.
Thank you so much, Vicki. So Allie Perline from Mason County Public Health and Human Services. So reading our proclamation for National Public Health Week and Public Health Month in Mason County. Whereas the week of April 6th through 12th, 2015 is National Public Health Week, and the theme is Healthiest Nation 2030. Whereas the month of April 2015 is Public Health Month. Whereas the U.S. ranks last among 11 countries on measures of access, equity, quality, efficiency, and healthy lives. Whereas where we live, work, and play, race and class currently trumps genetics and healthcare as predictors of the public's health. Whereas the leading causes of chronic health conditions and death in the U.S. are currently tobacco use, obesity, physical inactivity, alcohol and other drug use, poor nutrition, and socioeconomic factors. Whereas the public health emphasizes prevention and healthy lifestyle behaviors, quality of our indoor and outdoor environments, and health needs of populations as a whole. Whereas throughout the month of April, Mason County Public Health and Human Services is raising awareness on the meaning of public health and the full spectrum of factors that impact the public's health. Whereas the residents of Mason County are encouraged to educate themselves on ways to improve their own health and also the health of their community. So now, therefore, Board of County Commissioners of Mason County hereby proclaim the week of April 6th through 12th, 2015 as National Public Health Week and the month of April 2015 as Public Health Month in Mason County. The people of Mason County are called upon to celebrate this month by helping our families and surrounding community members better understand the meaning of public health and how each of us can work to improve our own health and the health of our community environment. Thank you.
very much.
Thank you, Allie.
Is there any other correspondence or organizational business to come before this body? Hearing none, we will move on to item number 5, which is open forum for citizens' input. This is your opportunity to speak to the commission on items that are not on the agenda. Again, if they are on the agenda, we would ask that you hold off, wait for that time, so you'll have an opportunity to give your ideas or worries and testify before this commission and the public. If it is not on the agenda, this is your opportunity to come up and speak to us. Please raise your hand when I ask and come up, tell us who you are, perhaps where you're from, and we'll go ahead and recognize you and move forward. With that being said, is there anybody who would like to speak on an item that is not on the agenda? Okay.
Thank you, Commission. My name is Jack Johnson. I'm from Belfair, and I'd like to just pass out a little bit of information that I'll be talking about. First of all, I'd like to just say that we've all been working hard on the sewer issues in Belfair, and I think there's 3 important components to getting ourselves in the good financial stability. And number 1 is a good financial plan that endures time, that people have confidence in, and I feel like we're real close, and I really appreciate all the hard work on that. Secondly, I believe that we need to look real hard at development regulations and try to make them to where they are, where development has more say and can do more what they want to accomplish. For example, currently in Belfair, you could not develop a Romance Hill project, you couldn't develop a McCormick Woods project, you couldn't develop a Lakeland Village project. In fact, I'm not even sure you can develop Lakeland Village in Allen, UGA. So I think that now the opportunity is there to get into the development regulations. And I know there's a group of us that are going to work hard on giving input to the Planning Advisory Committee for that. The third important thing that's came up to me that I believe is really important is personnel. Personnel in the DCD, to assist through that process, and also to have an attitude that they are helpful to property owners, that they're going to ultimately try to help the citizens and the property owners through the process. And so it's a concern of mine as we have this opportunity that we aren't going to have the support, or the mindset is going to inhibit some of the important things that we as a county, I believe, need to accomplish. So I'd like to bring in front of the county a situation that is that I've been dealing with the DCD, and here's a copy of the email thread that I'm just going to leave here, and you're welcome to take it and read it or dispose of it however you would like. A building permit application was submitted on March 16th in the Allen UGA for my daughter and son-in-law, the Smiths. Site plan did not meet the 20-foot setback requirements from the easement of Russet Ridge Road on the north and west side. This right here is a copy of the application and the site plan originally submitted, where there is a 30-foot easement on the west and north side, which is called Russet Ridge Road, that has not been constructed. When the application was submitted, the permit setter recommended a lot consolidation to move the property line. I contacted DCD via phone asking to combine lots 7 and 8 of BLA 0623. Email from DCD stated that 17.03.030C restricts the combination of lots in the Belfer and Allen UGA greater than 8,000 square feet. See attached link. When I looked at the code, it went on to say, except to the extent that site conditions and site constraints impede the individual development of the lots. So I responded that because of steep slope setbacks, per Michael Staten, who is a geotech, that did the geotech and this site plan, setbacks requirements from the road easement north and west per Mason County Code, the house cannot be sited. Therefore, it falls under the exception of 17.03.030C. And there's a steep slope here, and then the setback is this dotted line there. So you have a steep slope setback. You have a 20-foot setback from the easement. DCD responded that it would prefer this be handled with an administrative variances. I went over this with the Smiths and emailed DCD that because this is the house they intend to live in long term, they did not want to be any closer to the property line or road easement than the setbacks allowed, and told them I would be turning in a declaration parcel combination opted to them per 17.03.030C that day. I got an email back from DCD saying, I'm not saying the county will approve anything, and if the lots were to be combined, it would have to be through a BLA process, because these are not platted lots, and only unmodified platted lots qualify for DPC, and that's a declaration of parcel combination process, which that term I haven't found in the definitions, but I'm familiar with that term means. I did not turn in the declaration of parcel combination that I printed off the Mason County website and emailed to the DCD. I had it all filled out. This was printed right off Mason County's website. I was going to turn it in. And so then I emailed DCD that you are the ones that referred me to section 17.03.030. Now you're saying it does not apply, or only part of it applied. Please explain to me how you are arriving at the conclusion that this would have to be through a BLA because these are not platted lots. We are not changing any property configurations. DCD replied 16.03.030 is about combining lots in the Allen and Belfair UGAs. Does not specify DPCs and or BLAs. See section 16.40.045 below for the details on when the DBC process is used to combine lots. This is nothing new, they said. Items 1, and so this is 17.03.030, and this is 16.40.045.
Jack, I'm going to have to ask you to go a little bit faster because we're only allowed 5 minutes per, so.
Okay.
Sorry.
And the items 1 to 3 could easily be accomplished on this. The important issues on this was that the combination of unplatted land or platted or unplatted land, including portions of platted land, shall be known as lot combination boundary line adjustment. Whereas lot combinations, the combination of platted lots of which are complete lots shall be known as parcel combinations. And the nowhere in the code and regulation does it state that you can't do a lot combination. I guess I'd be glad to go through this probably in detail further, and basically what has happened here is the DCD has basically refused them to be allowed to build a house on the site. They have to prove to DCD that they have an administrative that an administrative variance would not work, and emails have gone back and forth, and now they are not going to be building on the site, and they'll be building elsewhere. And I understand I've taken up too much time, but
we have also have time. Do you have any questions, commissioners? I have a few. Go ahead.
None. I'd prefer to dive into this after some study, but thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Now, after these things are happened, from what I understand, then you have to go through that appeals process, which to the hearings examiner, which costs thousands of dollars if you want to. This brings up the question that I've had, for several years, and I'd like for us to maybe consider something like this and putting together a citizens appeals organization. We talked about once before, many years ago when I was first came in, not with judicial authority, but as an advisory group that can go through, work as a liaison with the citizens and the building department and make recommendations to the commission. From what I understand by talking to Jay Huck, in the past the commission had that authority and had that ability, and the citizens were not required to spend $3,000. And I'd like for us to consider that, or at least look at those options again, about taking back our role in the community a little bit, and perhaps.
It's an interesting proposal that I'd like to see how it interfaces with our hearings examiner process too.
Yes.
So I mean, we'd have to be really careful about that.
Absolutely. And I'm just floating up with the idea that maybe we have a briefing on it in the future and can talk about it.
I'd love to.
Just one quick question, Jack. Obviously it's a pretty big house, about 3,500 square feet or something. So on the second page, it's turned a little bit. That still wasn't acceptable under the present?
no, that was what we were going to submit when we removed the property boundary,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to site the house to where it would meet the setback from the road and from the steep slope.
Yeah.
And that wasn't acceptable either.
To the planners, that was
That's
not,
right.
that was not a go. Okay, all right, well, we can have conversations about it. Thanks for bringing it up.
Thank you very much, Jack.
Thank you, Jack.
Please, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Patrick O'Neill, 141 North Valley Drive, Skokomish Nation, Shelton, Washington. My concerns on, hope I don't step on anybody's toes here, but the sheriff department. We have so much drugs on the reservation, and every time where I live is, they say gray area. It's not a gray area. It's 141 North Valley Drive, county maintains the road. I'm a deeded owner, as everybody else is on that drive. We can't do anything. Well, in the last 3 weeks, we had one OD dead from Mexican black tar. A week before that, my wife and I noticed a young man flopping around down the street. Once again, he was in the process of ODing. I called 911. He luckily survived. The sheriff response is, our hands are tied. Do you live on the reservation? No, I don't. I live on deeded land, county maintained road. That is not a gray area to me or anybody else up there. Lack of response. Yeah, they're underfunded. Our hands, we got so many miles to carry, we don't have enough sheriff departments. To me, I ask commissioners, the next time the budget comes up, open your minds up. One day you might be a victim. I was a victim. I know one other person in this room was a victim recently. The sheriff that came, we was in our golden years, we're in Arizona. We get a phone call. Your house is broken into from our house sitter during the daylight hour. We come home, and the day after we get the phone call, we call the sheriff department. I'm wanting to speak with the deputy that investigated the scene. And yet today, I've not received no phone calls. A week later, with the local tribal police up there, we secured a Jeep with some stolen property of my wife's and mine in it. Sheriff department came up. Wife was able to identify the property. Yeah, he impounded it. That was great. Okay, we're going to make progress. 2.5 weeks later, they opened up the vehicle and did a search. 2.5 weeks later, as I'm informed by local tribal police, this one gentleman that they impounded the Jeep on, he's driving around in that Jeep again. To me, it don't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Why can't we do something with the drugs, the thieving? The thieving is, in the old days, you were slapped hard. There is no reason for somebody to have to be locked into the house with shotguns and rifles and pistols to guard your own property. That's not right. That's not right. So I ask commissioners next time that the budget comes up, please open your hearts and give these guys the money that we need to protect all of us. For the people that's in the golden age and able to go somewhere where it's warm and get a little 30 days of sunshine in a row, you know, let them respond to our problems, our drugs. And the only reason they say we can't do, our hands are tied, our jails are full. The day we impounded that Jeep, or the sheriff department impounded that Jeep, a young lady was walking across private property. And I told the Skoke police, she's trespassing on private property. He stops her. He calls in. She has a no bail warrant. No bail. Skoke didn't retain her. Pretty soon she comes walking right down the street. The sheriff is right there. Skoke's right there. So, what's going on? She's got a no bail warrant. Our jails are full. We take her in and she'll just be released again. I'm disappointed, very disappointed in the lack of control we have. It doesn't matter if it's Skoke Reservation, doesn't matter if you're in Mason County, Belfair, wherever you might be in this county. We need more support, more response from the sheriff department. You know, I don't know anything about local police activities, but it's just really hard to come up here and retire and have to stay at home and fence yourself in. That's not what America's about. That isn't what you want. That isn't what I want. I want to be able to go travel, go to the beach and dig razor clams. Kind of backtracking, I wrote a whole big thing at home and I left it because it was going to be a 3-day meeting here.
You did just fine. Something I'd like to share with you, I'm not sure if you're aware, but we have been making great efforts to help them. We've actually increased their budget by like 43% over the last 3 years. That's unheard of anywhere around here. And we've increased the deputies that we've been able to give them. I hope that we continue to look at doing that, but it is definitely not from lack of kicking in from the budget side. We've been kicking in a lot. I can't think of anything else that's been increased by such a huge margin. Now, is it enough? Obviously not. We, as a community, are going to have to eventually talk about how to get more money to be able to do more with the Sheriff's Department and the criminal justice system. And I'm not a guy that's in favor of taxes, without a doubt. I've been known to stand against those, but when it comes to being able to protect our families and stuff like that, that's one of the areas where I think we do need to look at. But it's going to take the citizenry to say that it's okay, because there's only so much money in the pie without, you know, some type of tax increase.
Well, I appreciate that, and that's understandable, and I don't think if anybody's ever been a victim or will become a victim will deny the little tax increase, which would not be that much on our property taxes. I just can't believe that you're not willing to pay a little more to be protected. You know, and I hate to see it. I mean, people are already talking where I live, in my neighborhood. We gotta have a neighborhood watch. We can do this, we can do that. Well, we do phone call in. And a lot of times, a sheriff is way over in Belfair and has to come over. Because, or a sheriff is sick, so we're short-handed. That was the excuse I got. The explanation I got from the sheriff department. 3 weeks of vehicle being tied up, and now it's running around, possession of stolen property, and he's still running around. He or she, both of them are, still running around. That just don't make sense. When I was growing up in the 60s, in the 70s, I got pulled over. It didn't matter who you were. You was answered. You didn't have that kind of stuff. You was punished. You was out doing community service if it was a small little crime. Now, I went to court the other day just to see what our Mason County Court does. Theft, theft, theft. Theft, theft, theft. 30 days. Get your hand slapped. You're going into jail for 30 days. Get your hand slapped. Failure to appear to court. What is going on? If local citizens would go to the courtroom and listen to these people, and why can't we, if our jails are full, why can't we send them to Thurston County or someplace else? They got empty jails.
We are. We're contracted out with Forks, we're contracted out with Nisqually, and I think there's one more. No, just those two.
Yeah, it's just, our hands are tied. I guess that's why I'm
Well, no,
complaining.
our hands aren't tied, but you bring up an issue that's very concerning to lots of property owners and citizens in Mason County. The sad fact is also, Patrick, is that Washington State has the highest burglary rate in the country. The highest in the country in Washington State. I'm not sure, certainly not proud of that. And part of the issue in our county is we have so many unoccupied houses. Now, those are the targets first. We have a lot of cabins, beach homes, places in the mountains, yours where you go away in the, like to go away in the winter months. So that's an attractive crime, burglary in our county. And our crime rate is higher, much higher than our neighboring counties as well. So it's something we're working on, and it takes a lot of effort. But when you talked about neighborhood watch, some of the communities have gotten together and are watching each other in a more formalized way. I know people do it anyway, but maybe that's something to explore.
We even have communities that have kicked in, and we don't like it, but it's a way that they've been able to help that area. They've contracted with the Sheriff's Department for having a deputy specifically there. It's not the best solutions, it's just we're all grabbing for solutions, but I have a feeling we're grabbing all through the state and all through the nation as well. But no matter what, there's no free lunch. We have to find a way to pay for it if we need more.
I appreciate your time, and I just want to say, it's just, you know, I can understand hands are being tied, but the excuse I get from the deputies when they show up, this is a gray area. I'm saying 141 North Valley Drive, and that development there is not a gray area. It is county. We pay our taxes to the county. We don't pay them to the tribe. We don't do anything with the tribe. We don't pay them any money. We pay our money to UD. We own the land. We're deeded. So that is not a gray area to me. Gray area is what on top of my head. Now I'm getting a hell of a lot more
Thank you.
because of the gray area.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Is there anybody further who would like to speak today? Hearing none, we will go ahead and move on to the item number 6, which is the adoption of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of County Commissioners adopt the agenda as presented today.
A second?
Moved and seconded for the adoption of the agenda as presented today. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, the motion carries. Item number 7, approval of the minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the March 9th and 16th briefing meeting minutes and the March 24th regular meeting minutes as presented.
I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and seconded for the approval of the March 9th and 16th, 2015 briefing minutes and the March 24th, 2015 regular meeting minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, the motion carries. Next up is the approval of the action agenda items. The action agenda is a list of items that we will go ahead and take the time and read directly to the public, after which it will be voted on with one vote, unless you as the public or a commissioner would like it taken off for a separate vote. We will go ahead and read each one. You will even be given an opportunity to ask a question that would help you to decide whether to take it off for a separate vote. But if you would like to testify or have any comments about it, that's not the time. We'd ask that you have it removed for a separate vote, and you'll be given an opportunity to testify at that time. With that being said, Commissioner Sheldon, will you read item number 8.1 through 8.4? I will read 8.5 through 8.8, and Commissioner Jeffries, if you'll read 8.9 through 8.12.
All right, Mr. Chairman, 8.1, approval of the resolution rescinding Resolution 88-09 affecting the operating hours of the Mason County Assessor, Auditor, and Treasurer's offices. These offices shall remain open during the lunch hour. 8.2, approval of warrants, claims clearing fund, warrant numbers 802-1141 through 802-1513 in the amount of $605,986.42. Salary clearing fund, warrant numbers 7000932 through 7000957 in the amount of $403,585.30. And direct deposit fund, warrants numbers 20939 through 21320 in the amount of $1,607,223.75. This year, the claims clearing fund totals year-to-date $9,706,401.92. The salary clearing fund year-to-date total is $4,142,303.73, and the direct deposit year-to-date total is $4,152,421.05. 8.3, approval of the interlocal drug task force agreement between the counties of Kitsap, Pierce, and Mason, and the cities of Bainbridge Island, Bremerton, Port Orchard, Fallsville, Shelton, and the Washington State Patrol and Naval Criminal Investigative Service for the period of July 1, 2015 through to July 30, 2018. The intent of this agreement is to centralize supervision and enhance the efforts of law enforcement agencies to combat controlled substance trafficking. And 8.4, approval of the board to authorize Public Works to purchase off the Washington State contract number 14393 partition panels from Washington State Correctional Industries. These panels will match the existing partitions that were also purchased from Corrections Industries. The total cost is estimated to be $7,955.04.
Item number 8.5, approval for the board to authorize Public Works to use the 2015 letters of interest list for construction project inspectors and construction material testing services and enter into an agreement. These services are needed for projects scheduled for the upcoming construction season. Item number 8.6, approval of the resolution for County Road Project 2000, Carmen Road, authorizing the chair to sign all pertinent documents relating to the project and allowing the Public Works County Engineer to advertise, set bids, dates, and award contracts. The contract will be announced during a regular meeting of the board. Item number 8.7, approval of the amendment to the utility easement agreement between Mason County and Hood Canal Communications, changing the easement from 6 feet to 20 feet on parcel number 22127-51-00067 in the Russellwood community. Item number 8.8, approval of the amendment number 1 to the DSHS contract number 1363-74807, extending the ending date to June 30th, 2016. This amendment provides $2,000 in funding for the Work First Children with Special Needs program and requires no matching funds. The funding has been budgeted for the 2015 year.
Mr. Chair, item 8.9, approval to make the following appointments to the Hood Canal Coordinating Council Advisory Groups. Tom Davis and Lee Swoboda to the Citizen Advisory Group, and Evan Bowder and Mindy Harlow to the Technical Advisory Group. 8.10, approval of Veterans Assistance Fund applications for food totaling $300, utilities totaling $1,699.40, and housing totaling $567, for a grand total of $2,566.40, as recommended by the Veterans Service Office. Item 8.11, approval for the board to authorize the county engineer to execute the Adopt a Road Agreement 2537-TIMBE between Mason County and Timberlake Cleanup Crew that allow the crew to maintain litter control along Timberlake Drive and other roads in the Timberlake community as a member of the Adopt a Road program. 8.12, approval of the 2015 contract with Shelton High School Students Against Destructive Decisions, SAD. The mission of SAD is to provide students with the best prevention tools possible to deal with issues of underage drinking, other drugs, risky and impaired driving, and other destructive decisions. SAD Club will meet the objectives and results to the satisfaction of Mason County Public Health and Human Services, and the cost shall not exceed $6,000.
All the items on the action agenda has been read to the public. Is there anybody out there who...
8.3 for comment.
We'll move to 8.3. Okay, is there anybody out there who has any questions that would help them to decide whether or not to have an item removed for a specific vote? Any questions? Hearing none, are there any items other than 8.3 that the public would like taken off for a separate vote? Hearing none, commissioners, do you have any items that you would like taken off for a separate vote? Then I will entertain a motion with the exception of item number 8.3.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of County Commissioners approve the action agenda today. All the items 8.1 through 8.12 excluding item 8.3.
I'll
For
second
a
that.
separate vote. Yeah.
It has been moved and seconded for the approval of the action agenda items 8.1 through 8.12 with the exception of 8.3, which will be removed for a separate vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, the motion carries.
I just wanted to share and thank you to our auditor, our assessor, and our treasurer for your efforts to be able to move back to March openings. You've been a great service to the community.
Just a question, Mr. Chairman, how are we going to get the word out that we're open at noon? How do we get the word out?
We do have a press release plan.
Good.
Jerry and I have a deal. No.
We do have a press release, at least I think we
Yes.
asked that a press release.
Yeah,
be
we were
given,
waiting for it, yeah. We opened in March, and we knew it was going to be pretty thin through the lunch hour, so for a trial area, so we knew once it was announced that we would put it out in the media, so we've been, we didn't want to flood at lunchtime until we kind of got our restructure done, so we're ready. We will get that to the
Perhaps some
media.
temporary signage too?
Oh, sure, we've got it out,
Okay,
yeah,
great.
and it's been since March the 1st, we've been open.
Yeah. Excellent, thank you very much. Okay, with that being said, we will move on to specifically item number 8.3, approval of the interlocal drug task force agreement between the counties of Kitsap, Pierce, and Mason, and the cities of Bainbridge Island, Bremerton, Port Orchard, Paulsbo, Shelton, and Washington State Patrol, and Naval Criminal Investigative Services for the period July 1st, 2015 to June 30th, 2018. The intent of this agreement is to centralize supervision and enhance the efforts of the law enforcement agencies to combat controlled substances trafficking. Well, you picked the longest one to do. Would you like to do a presentation on it first?
8.3, Under Sheriff Barrett's going to speak to that.
Please, Under Sheriff.
Thank you, Commissioners. Under Sheriff Barrett, didn't have the intent of having the sheriff request his comment, but Mr. O'Neill's concerns prompted me to want to make this comment. First of all, sir, we're sorry for the things that are occurring. I mean, and we feel your frustration. I know the board feels your frustration, and many other people feel that same frustration. And the board has made great strides of restoring those cuts that we suffered in the recession, 2008, 2009. And we're 2 bodies away from being there. They're in the academy right now training. So it's been a long, hard process, and they have worked hard with the sheriff trying to get those numbers back up. But the comment about WestNet, when you read that, it sounds like it's a great investigative body that returns a great amount of services to our county. But in theory, that's not really how it works. They are an outstanding group of investigators. They have a wonderful team up there. However, they focus on very large, big organizations and the larger targets in the West Sound. In 2007, when Sheriff took over, we decided to centralize our narcotics operations. We formed our own team for the exact reason that you talked about, is we wanted to have a more rapid and quicker response. So we had to pull our body out of that organization and get more staff in county. And for the citizens, they need to know that. Is if in an ideal world and we were at the staffing levels we'd like to be, we would love to have a body participating with that work up there as well as our local work. We're not there yet, we can't do that yet. It's been the emphasis to put all our resources, as limited as they are, to the county problem. So I wanted the people to know here that though we work with WestNet, we deconflict operations, we work with them when required to, we provide information as they do to us, that it's a good thing that it's there and the contract is viable for that reason. But it's not in our interest to take somebody out of our unit and place them there at this time, but we're continuing to look towards the future to try to make that happen. So I would encourage the vote to endorse this contract, because it is useful overall to the citizens. But I just wanted to make sure that Mr. O'Neill and the rest of the citizens understood what WestNet is and what it does. With regards to some of your other comments, if you have the opportunity, I'd love to speak with you afterwards, to the sheriff, so we can kind of isolate some of the things you've talked about, because if what you're saying in some cases, they need to be addressed.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank
And
you.
just
Any questions?
to point that out, for our briefings, we were surprised on that. It's a good example of why we have to have briefings, because we understood it to be completely different until we sat down and understood what was just explained to you. But I have to agree, if a body's leaving this area right now, it's probably not the best thing for us to do, unless we can find some extra people to go and fill those shoes on our streets. So, does anybody have any questions for the undersheriff in regards to this issue?
I just want to say thank you for coming today and making the presentation. I've been here quite a while, and I have had some experience with the contract, but it's not doesn't solve all our problems. But I appreciate you offering to meet with Mr. O'Neill and his wife and talk about it. That's very good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Share that, Under Sheriff Barrett, every time that you speak and every time I have a conversation with you, I get a new word. Deconflict. I didn't know that one. Thank you for expanding my vocabulary.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Okay, with that being said, is there anybody in the public who would like to testify or comment on this particular issue only? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion if the commission is so inclined.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve item 8.3 on our agenda.
And I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
I have to read all that again. Okay, it was moved and seconded for the approval of the 8.3, the interlocal drug task force agreement between the counties of Kitsap, Pierce, and Mason, and the cities of Bainbridge Island, Bremerton, Port Orchard, Paulsville, Shelton, and Washington State Patrol and Naval Criminal Investigative Services for a period of July 1st, 2015 to June 30th, 2018. The intent of this agreement is to centralize supervision and enhance the efforts of the law enforcement agencies to combat controlled substance trafficking. With that being said, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, the motion carries. We move on to item number 10, as there are no public hearings for item number 9. That's department heads and elected officials. Debbie Riley, I understand that as a department head, you are ready to speak. Would you like to
Yes,
please come up?
I haven't bitten anybody all week. Debbie Riley, Mason County Public Health and Human Services. And as some of you know, I have been bringing staff people from time to time under item number 10, just to let you know who these people are that are doing all the work out in the community and a little bit more about their jobs. And today we have Jess Mosley with us. Jess, for a very long time of his career with Mason County, was our food person. He's out doing restaurant inspections and temporary events. And in 2011, when one of our other staff people left, Jess stepped up to the plate and became the solid waste person. Now, something else I need to tell you about Jess. He has told us, and it's not here yet, so, you know, this is just a rumor right now, that he's going to retire at the end of October. So we'll be, we'll be looking for someone else to fill in and take over. But not only does that leave us a big void in the environmental health section, Jess has been instrumental behind the county's golf team each year when they have that start up and go. Jess has been one of the guys that worked so hard. Karen left, but she too really makes sure that county employees have a chance to participate in a golf league. So I just wanted to put that in there. Jess is doing another program too, and it's our well delegation program. And we'll start with that one. This is an agreement we have with the Washington State Department of Ecology. When new wells are constructed in Mason County, we go out and do a construction spot check. We make sure that the well casing is a certain height above the surface of the ground. We make sure that there's a bentonite seal around that casing and that it has the proper cap on it. And although we have several people in the department that are trained to do these inspections, Jess is the person that does the bulk of the inspections, pulls all the data together and sends it to Ecology for the quarterly report. We also go to every well decommission in the county. Last year there were 3 well decommissions, and those often take quite a bit of time. All that casing has to be pulled out, and then the hole has to be filled appropriately. And so we did 3 well decommissions, and we did 46 well constructions last year. So that's just one of those little side programs that gets shifted in. So the solid waste is also mainly funded by the State Department of Ecology from something we call the Coordinated Prevention Grant. We have deliverables. We have 2 main activities. And if you have questions, Jess will be glad to answer those for you. But we have the solid waste handling facility site compliance, which is making sure that our utilities, transfer stations are all in compliance with the law. And then we do enforcement, and that's what takes the bulk of Jess's time. We go out when there's a complaint, investigate. If he finds 3 pieces of identifying paperwork with the same person's name and address on it, he can do something like write them a ticket, take them to the hearings examiner. A lot of times all it takes is for him to contact the people and talk them into surrender. So, he has very good record for getting places cleaned up. The rest of the money for this program comes from a tipping fee that's charged at the transfer station on behalf of the Public Health Department and comes into the program. So that's what funds this work. But I talked about some of the tools. We have the first contact, which is often talking to the person, and sometimes that's all it takes is, you know, hey, this isn't right, this is a violation, this is really an eyesore to your neighbors. And it can be a public health issue if we have cockroaches and rats and all of the other animals that are drawn in by garbage that's improperly stored. Just can write a ticket. You know, he's got his own little ticket book, and so he has that authority. And if those things don't work to get the violation cleaned up, we have the hearings examiner, which was mentioned earlier in the day here. So that's a quasi-judicial, and just didn't know he'd get to be an investigator and an attorney when he took this part of the job. So we've learned a lot. In 2014, he wrote 12 tickets for illegal dumping and improper storage of waste on residential property. Did not have to take anybody to the hearings examiner in 2014, but there are at least 20 parcels that still have liens on them from the hearings examiner process that he's following up and working with. Jess has also taken on quite a project. We've had some very active years in the past, not so much now, but we had cases that were open and got dropped when people left, or the record keeping wasn't quite as good as it is now. Jess is going through each of those cases, case by case, revisiting them, either closing them or reactivating the case and working with the people to get them cleaned up again. So he's been a very busy man, and we're squeezing every drop we can out before he retires. So, did I forget anything?
No.
Oh, he's been instrumental in getting some of the tire piles around the county cleaned up through that ecology program. So he's working.
That isn't me. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
So, thank you very much for the presentation. A solid waste violation, I suspect, is in the eye of the beholder. What are the thresholds that one would identify this being a violation versus somebody that's just piling up and waiting for to go to the dump?
We have a cubic yard of solid waste on property is something that's the threshold for us to start being concerned. I mean, if it's a McDonald's bag thrown on the side of the road, we're not, you know, we might tell the
Do you know
litter
on top of
crew.
your head what the cubic yard limit is when you get to the violation stage?
I think if you store solid waste beyond normal 2 weeks, for people that self-haul, 2 weeks properly stored in 32-gallon trash cans, recycling properly stored, and demolition debris for 90 days, that's the standard that we look for. We have a lot of absent landlords. We have properties that are rental properties that don't have management companies, and sometimes the tenants start looking to save money any way they can, and usually the first thing they do is they start not taking garbage to the dump. And then that builds up, and then the neighbors call, and then usually it's stored in black plastic bags on the ground under tarps in trucks or trailers, and those are all not allowed according to our county code. So anything more than a cubic yard,
1 cubic
1
yard.
cubic yard would be the threshold that we would be involved
That had
in.
been there for longer than 2
Right.
weeks.
And Hope vehicles, there's a limit on those also for what we have classified as inoperable, i.e. a flat tire or dead battery, versus missing tires or fenders or motors or transmissions. And there's a limit on those that you can have on your property.
Is it 10?
No. No. If you have 1 acre, you can have 1 inoperable vehicle on your property out of public view. If it's inside of a building, then it's not in public view. We don't care. If it's behind a fence, then same thing. We don't care. But what ends up happening is people begin having salvage yards where they drag stuff home and drip parts off, and what they can quickly sell, they sell, and then abandon the rest to kudzu and blackberry vines and that type of overgrowth. But if you have 5 acres or more, that's where you start allowed to have 3. But anything more than that, unless you're a permitted licensed facility like West Coast or golden pheasant or Sheldon Olive Parks, places that are a regulated facility, then you're not allowed to have them on your property. And that's basically to protect the environment, because usually gas tanks rust out, and rubber hoses get cut, and antifreeze gets on the ground, and brake fluid, and those types of things that can harm the environment, especially if you're close to water.
Yeah, and one thing. I appreciate you bringing that up, Jess, and I appreciate all the work that you do on this. I've had a couple of people call me, and I'll just mention to you, about at the top of Purdy Canyon on Highway 101, going north, where the little coffee stand is. It just seems to be gaining.
There is, that property was owned, the coffee stand property is owned by Lauren Reicher, and his cousin owns the property next door, and we do have the dialogue with his cousin concerning the number of vehicles that he's brought in.
Well, something to share with the public that they may not know. You know, you mentioned the law enforcement and the shortage. He has a lot to do with cleaning up our communities in other ways as well, and I will admit the commission has even used it for that purpose. When an officer goes there, I get phone calls as a commissioner and said, this is a drug house, this is this. Well, the sheriff can't just go and arrest him, because you can call and tell me it's a drug house all you want. That does not mean that the sheriff has the ability to go and arrest him. They have to see the crime, they have to do. But sometimes, we're able to help in the community in another way. When you have all these different trailers that are not hooked up, and you know these things are going on, they've been known to go out there and, at the request of the commission, and actually make such a difference where they move and they go away, and it helps the community. So you wouldn't think of it as that, but that is a big thing I know from my community. They've stepped up quite a few times, and there's even times where together they will go with law enforcement on the even bigger ones. So you serve a great purpose, and I can tell you my community is very thankful to you and the people that you've helped up there.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jess.
Thank you.
Thank you. For a long time.
Is there any other? Oh, yes, please.
Sorry, this is my quota for the year in speaking.
Just give me a new word.
Don't want two updates for both the board and the citizens. The jail facility currently, you mentioned earlier, Mr. Patrick brought it up, about outsourcing of our inmates. That'll take place Wednesday to the Nisqually contract for the female inmates. Right now we have 75 beds in our facility. The new portion, when finished, will have 38 additional beds, bringing our total capacity for 115 for safe operation. We have what they call boats, which are plastic cots they put on the floor for the overflow. That brings our capacity in max to 144. But we don't like to operate at 144 with boats on the floor all the time. It's an unsafe environment for the inmates, for our staff, etc. So that's where we're at. 16 inmates, I believe, as of yesterday, will be transported over to Nisqually. We have 10 of them at Fort. The third county that was under contract was Jeff County. Last year we had inmates that are long-term commit for Jefferson County. So to answer the question, sir, is that we've researched and worked every option we have. And it is our goal to allow the criminal justice system, the courts, to be able to use incarceration as the tool that it's needed to be. That being said, I know Mr. Davis has worked in and is continuing to work with alternatives in therapeutic courts, whether that be veterans courts, drug courts, litter crew services, electronic home monitoring. We as a system have to find a whole different set of options out there to deal with the system that we have, which again we've been maxed for years. So I want to give you an update on where we're going with Nisqually. That'll take place to relieve some of the pressure over there that we're currently experiencing. Second update, 2 weeks ago a citizen had come in and talked about Sheriff Salisbury's inability to contact him or unwillingness to contact him. That matter has not been finalized or formally closed out, but I feel an obligation on behalf of the sheriff as the department head in charge of internal affairs investigations to let the citizens know who may have heard that message that his portrayal of events weren't necessarily as they appear, all right? Since that incident took place in September, we've had no less than 16 different officers from 3 different agencies attempting to resolve that issue. Okay, that includes officers from our office, officers from the Thurston County Sheriff's Office, which we requested an outside investigation to be done, and the FBI and Department of Justice, which were also involved in this issue. That process will be closed out here in the next week, and we've received letters from all those other agencies stating that through their investigations, they were unable to make contact with that individual, or he was unwilling to provide the necessary follow-up needed to conduct the proper closeout. So without going into details, I just want to clarify that we have a very detailed process. We followed that process. We utilized all the resources at our disposal. We kept it confidential as it should be. And the sheriff stays out of these issues because he is the final arbitrary authority on these things. He delegates that down to his staff to deal with those issues. So I think it was a misrepresentation or an unfair characterization to say that he did not contact him. Representatives operating under his authority had attempted the entire time to resolve that issue. So I just want to make a clarifying point on that issue. And keep in mind that those 2 officers that were involved in that, they've had to sit here in a state of flux the entire time waiting for that resolution. And that takes a lot of courage to have to sit there and have your actions second guessed. So I just wanted to
Thank you, Sheriff. Any questions?
Just wanted to share that, yeah, there are 2 sides of every story, of every issue. And
Exactly.
just, I hope that everybody keeps that in mind.
And that's what I wanted to portray here. There was another side.
Thank you. Are there any other department heads or that would like to speak at this time? Any elected officials who would like to speak at this time? Hearing none, we will move on to the next item of our agenda, which is the board reports and calendars. Who would like to go first?
Well, I'll give it a try. And I'll find the date. I spent a lot of time in Olympia the last couple of weeks, and I'll be there. I've got to be over there today. But we rolled out our, I just want to mention, we rolled out our budget yesterday from the Senate, and of course, it's $38 billion, if I wish, $38 billion in the general fund budget. Lots of items in there, but there is $154,000 for Mason County for our extraordinary legal expenses. 154,000. I think we got, last budget we got 78,000, so this is twice that. And that obviously goes into our murder fund. Great name for a special fund, but we have had a abnormally high incidence of those major crimes in Mason County in the last few years. So that's something the state can do to help us out. Got a meeting with Olympic Region Clean Air Authority coming up tomorrow. I won't be able to go if you can make it. That's at 10 o'clock. And we should know about, the other item I wanted to mention is we should know about our capital budget that'll be released today. And we did not do a capital budget at the state level last year, so there is some more capacity for local projects as well as major projects. We intend to build, I think, 2,800 new classrooms for kids this year, which is a huge number. So at least we're going to start again to make some infrastructure improvements around the state. So we'll take a look today and see how what our county has in that budget.
Thank you for your efforts on behalf of the county, and congratulations for your award and the Public Power. The name's escaping me, but it's Citizen of the Year. So thank you for your congratulations. Sure. Last week we had an evening meeting at the Belfair area. Our 5th Tuesday of the month, we go up and have an informal meeting. It's not a regular meeting, it's a special meeting of the Belfair group, and heard about the progress on the widening of Highway 3, of Belfair Water's work to have their pipes moved, and a couple other items. But it was a good meeting, and we're hoping to get the word out so get better attendance at those meetings. The 1st of April was a very exciting day for Mason County in general. We had the grand opening of the Transit Community Center. We had about, almost 400 people there. The governor, our 35th district legislators, our congressional 6th and 10th district legislators there. Commissioner Netherland made a very nice speech. Very, very exciting time. Beautiful facility. It's open now. Please go over and take a look at it if you haven't been there. Had a chance to tour some of our Skokomish, upper Skokomish watershed restoration projects. Some of the issues, not some of the 90% of the issues of flooding and of the compilation of debris that is causing flooding in the Skokomish River is due to the logging roads. And so there's a lot of efforts to decommission as many roads as possible, as well as make some better fish passages. And so we took a tour of some of those operations, and then had a discussion and heard that there is plans to put up, I think it was about 54,000 acres of land for thinning, for a cut from the U.S. Forest Service. They're right in the middle of the NEPA, or the National Environmental Protection Agency work on that one. But that money potentially would go back to paying for some of the road decommissioning up there. Also, we celebrated the Green Diamond Resource Company's 100 millionth seedling planting, and that was exciting. There's 100 million seedling planting. That's how they count those things. The second, I had a tour of the Turning Point Domestic Violence Center and shelter, and heard a lot about their needs and how they're doing so much with so little. They operate on a budget of $360,000 when their actual needs are about 1.5. And so this is an organization that could really use some help. It's kind of difficult for them in that there are state mandates regarding training for anybody that does volunteer for them. So it's hard to get a very dedicated, it means a lot if you're going to, a commitment if you're going to volunteer for them. I met with Commissioner Wolf from Thurston County around criminal justice issues. And then we had our briefings yesterday. Let's see, tomorrow I'll have a meeting of the Memorial Hall Committee. I'll be attending the Olympic Regional Clean Air Agency and then a Habitat for Humanity Finance Committee meeting. I will be doing a tour of a land acquisition that was done through the in lieu fee program of the Hood Canal Quartering Council right here in Mason County. It's called Irene Pond, and the reclamation of that. And then I'll do some training on Department of Ecology's polluted rivers, how they put a river on their polluted list, and how you get one off, because there's been some concern about how difficult it is to get a river or a creek off. And then we're doing a tour of the Simpson holdings here in the county and just talk to some of the players of the Simpson Timber Company regarding what are the future here in Mason County. And then Saturday, I hope folks would join us at 10 o'clock. We'll be doing a tour with Porterra of the downtown Shelton area to kind of do an assessment of what are the strengths, weaknesses, what can be done to help revitalize downtown Shelton. And I think the county has some sort of role in the gateway coming in, because I don't know if you know, up to about the EFI building that's county property. And so I think that there's a lot of partnership opportunities with the city of Shelton regarding creating a more welcoming gateway into Mason County, and I hope that will be part of that tour, but I know that they're going to concentrate mostly on the downtown area. And then we'll back for briefings on Monday.
Let's see. I met with community members in regards to the possible bypass and what that would mean to the community. Then I met with staff in regards to the bypass and possible connectors. We had our Mason Transit Authority rededication that the Commissioner already spoke about. We also both of us attended a meeting for Fudge Point on Harstein Island. It looks like they're finally getting to a place where everybody's going to be okay with it. It sure looks like it. They've made some concessions on both sides, and one of the things that the people out there are very interested in is making sure that there is staff available to take care of the issues that come up. So if they're going to have camping, they want to make sure in the design or in the structure of how it's presented that a ranger is included when it comes to the camping. I also attended the Allen Community Association meeting, so we attended the sheriff's breakfast. Let's see, went to Olympia for a little lobbying, then regulatory subcommittee for the EDC, Women's Republican Luncheon. I met with Jim Darling and the chair of the Port of Shelton in regards to different things that maybe and perhaps we can do together in the future. West Sound Alliance, we had a meeting of the steering committee. I did attend a concert this week that I'm going to brag about, the Blues Hall of Fame tour. And if you haven't seen it, we had John Hammond, we had Cotton, we had Noosa White, all guys that were inducted into the Blues Hall of Fame were out there in Kitsap County, and it was wonderful. I attended a Port of Allen meeting, and we had our regular briefings. I had a Wasac Health Caucus conversation, a big phone conversation with everybody. Had a left board meeting this morning. Then Safeco Field tonight for me. I'm going to go watch my granddaughter sing the national anthem at the game. She's with some of the other kids, but it's for me, a grandfather. That's awesome. I have a meeting for the courthouse security. Then we have a legislating steering committee for Wasac. Then the EDC. Then I've been asked to go and speak at the Democrat meeting in regards to the sewer and an update with that. Lisa Frazier is also invited, as is Karen Herr, auditor. They have different questions they would like to ask. Union City is having a function here, and then I'll be attending the Trails and Lake Potluck. I will also be attending a logger's degree. What that is for those who don't know, I am a Mason, and in Mason County, it's odd, we're one of the oldest branches of the Masons, in the state. We actually have 2 lodges right here in Shelton that have been here for over 150 years. When you think about that, that's pretty impressive. But watching a logger's degree, that's because back in the old days, that's what was out here with the loggers, and it's done in the manner it was done back then, which is pretty interesting. Then we're back again for our briefings. Is there anything further to come before this body? I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you.